Hi, my name is Nurina.
Hi, my name is Ashran Azmi.
Hi, my name is Hina Hazira.
Welcome to our seminar. Here we go.
So, the topic of this second seminar is an interesting topic to discuss, which is current initiatives in environmental related management accounting. These are all the subtopics that we will cover in this seminar shortly. So we will move forward to the first subtopics, which is current initiative by Ashran.
Thank you, Dina. Next, I'm going to explain about eco-efficiency. So what is eco-efficiency? It is a management strategy of doing more with less. It is based on the concept of creating more goods and services by using fewer resources and creating less waste and pollution. The objective of eco-efficiency, according to the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, there are 7 objectives in eco-efficiency. The first one will be to reduce consumption of resources, which is consumption of material and energy must be reduced to a minimum through the improvement of recycling abilities. Secondly, we have reduced the impact on nature. Improvement can be obtained using renewable resources that are managed sustainably, as well as minimizing emissions, residue deposition, and toxic substances. And thirdly, we have supply clients with products and services of higher quality, and the benefit to the client can be improved through making available additional services to the user. For instance, functionality and increasing global lifespan. And next, we have re-engineering processes. It implies the reduction of consumption of resources and pollution, as well as lowering costs. And furthermore, we have sub-product revaluation. Waste of a specific business can be run a second time for a secondary product. This cooperation produces a more efficient utilization of resources in the processes, creating an additional financial benefit. And we also have new product conception. A more simplified conception process uses less material, thus facilitating in the future to use and recycle. And lastly, we have reaching the market, looking for better ways to attain the needs and expectations of the client. Next, we have eco-efficiency indicators. According to Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, ESCAPE, they has explored developing eco-efficiency indicators to measure the status and progress of eco-efficiency in the economy in order to help policymakers formulate clear views on the concept of eco-efficiency and its policy implications. EEI is particularly envisioned to respond to the different challenges of sustainability in the context of attaining both economic and ecological goals. There are a few challenges that we successful to identify, which is the first one will be impacts of economic activity on the environment, which are resource consumption, pollution, emissions, and waste. Secondly, we have effects of resource productivity on the economy, for example, economic efficiency. And next, we have impacts of environmental degradation on economic productivity, for instance, reduction in absorptive capacity and loss of forest cover. And lastly, we have effects of environmental improvement on society, which are congestion costs, improvement in well-being, and social costs. Alright, that's all from me for eco-efficiency. For the next subtopic will be continued by Hazira.
Thank you, Ashran. Next, I will continue the second point for current initiative, which is ISO 14001 Environmental Management System. ISO 14001 is an international standard for designing and implementing an environmental management system.
ISO 14001 requirements provide a framework and guidelines for creating the environmental management system so that they do not miss important elements needed for an EMS to be successful. Next is the benefits of ISO 14001 in organization. The first one is to improve image and credibility by assuring customer that an organization has a commitment to demonstrable management of the environmental impacts. The organization can enhance their image and market share through maintaining a good public image and improve community relations. So, for the second benefit is create a culture of continual improvement. With continual improvement, the organization can work towards better process and reduce environmental impacts in a systematic way in order to improve the public image. When a culture of improvement is created, people are always looking for ways to make their process better, which makes maintaining the environmental management system easier. The third benefit is improved cost control. One improvement that all companies are looking for is reduction of costs. The environmental management system can help with this by conserving energy and input materials, while reducing incidents for which a company can incur liability costs and improve environmental controls can help to obtain insurance at reduced cost to the company. So, there is three challenges of implementing ISO 14001 in developing countries. The first one is lack of appropriate infrastructure. Because there is lack of appropriate infrastructure such as power supply, wastewater treatment plants, and waste management facilities, it becomes difficult to comply or enforce environmental regulations. The second challenge is ineffective environmental regulations. Environmental regulations and policies in developing countries tend to be outdated, unclear, and constrained by inadequate coordination among authorities. These regulations will require humanity to make decisions that are compatible with ecological integrity. As a result, industry do not commit themselves to compliance with national regulations. Lastly, the third challenge is financial and human resource constraint. Many developing countries lack the institute capacity, expertise, and technical skills to assess environmental problems. Due to lack of local expertise, industries in developing countries tend to seek out of country assistance in establishing and implementing an environmental management system. Thus, the overall cost of certification will be much higher as compared to industry in developed countries. Okay, so I will pass the third initiative will be explained by Ahmad.
Thank you, Hazira. So next we move to the waste management. It can be defined as the processes and actions that are necessary to manage waste from its inception to its final disposal. The purpose is to provide hygienic, efficient and cost-effective solid waste storage, collection, transportation and waste treatment or disposal without ever polluting the environment. Next is the steps to control waste management. First, refuse. It is the company refusing to use single use of non-recyclable product to ultimately reduce to daily waste that produced by the business. Next is reduce. It is by limiting the dependency on the non-recyclable material to avoid excess waste. Next, reuse. Use the item in the workplace. Reuse the item in the workplace instead of replacing it. Next is repurpose. It involves creativity to create more than one purpose. Next, last but not least, recycle. Company can start by compiling plastic gas, glass and organic and also implementing the recycling program. Next, we have environmental accounting for waste management. First, we have accounting for direct monetary and physical flow information, such example like how much garbage is collected and already landfill. Next, for the monetary info, it can be cost and expended by the information associated with physical waste flows and activities. Secondly, we have accounting for environmental information hidden in overheads and future periods. It means environmental costs are indirectly related to the operation of a process, such as admin support, legal service and educational costs. The potential costs in the future, such as replacement, can cause uncertain future remediation or risk posed by the future regulatory changes. And last but not least, we have accounting for external environmental impact of waste streams. Waste stream is borne by natural environment. For example, it can affect the human health due to air pollution. And for your information, this is intangible and difficult to measure in the monetary term. Next, we move to the environmental life cycle costing. It is an accumulation of costs that is directly derived by users involved in the product life cycle, such as research and development department and also marketing department. However, it does not only focus on the internal users, but it also includes anticipated externalities to be internalized, such as the cost derived on the anticipation of suppliers, manufacturers and consumers. Other than that, it acts as a complement to life cycle assessments. The environmental life cycle costing should be regarded as supplementation for ISO 14040 and ISO 14044 life cycle norms, and it also relates to the real monetary flow. Next, for the life cycle assessments, it is a method of estimation on the product influence on the environment and usage of the resources in the life cycle. Such example, it estimates the extraction of raw materials that will be used in order to produce the products. Unlikely the environmental life cycle costing, this method only estimates on the product impact on the environments without taking into the consideration of the cost of the environment. In addition, both of the methods are not an accountancy method. Next, we move to the step of environmental life cycle costing. First, we need to define the problem. The problem could be the increment of the waste in the landfill. Step number 2, we need to define the cost element. Step number 3, system modeling. Step number 4, collecting data. Step number 5, structuring the profile cost. And lastly, the assignment. Next, we have the example of the environmental life cycle costing. First, we have ecological tax. It is a tax that company need to pay to the government. Next, we have ecological products commercial cost. Third, we have emission control expense. It is an expense that company incurred in order to control the gas emission. And last but not least, cost of waste disposal. It is a cost incurred to manage waste disposal. Last but not least, we have the purpose of environmental life cycle costing. First, it is to address direct and indirect costs that involve in the product life cycle of the total cost product. For example, in the indirect cost, it is an external cost that could potentially rise in the future, such as waste disposal expenses. Next, it is to reduce the total cost of product with the help of eco-friendly alternative. It means instead of company need acquire a new raw material to produce a product, they only have to use the waste in order to produce the product. And that's all from me. I will pass the next subtopic to Nur Irdina.
Thank you, Akmal. So the fifth initiative is environmental supply chain management. So it is a key part of sustainable business strategy. It conversely manages all significant environmental impacts from company supply chain throughout the life cycle of product and also services. The significant impact is caused by other activities outside the companies. So I just want to add that we cannot underestimate the importance of environmental supply chain management. So this is because companies who have an experience in environmental management have gained more shares, strengthened their brand, and also become more attractive to their consumer and also investor. For your information, any changes to the environment that result from facilities activities, product or services, or in other words, is the effect of the people action itself. So below are the negative environmental impact that happen to our country, such as water pollution, toxic waste, and also air pollution. Next, what is the objective of environmental supply chain management? So the first point is to eliminate and minimize waste, such as energy, hazardous greenhouse gas, and also solid waste. So the second point is to help organizations to develop strategies which leads to a high level of profitability due to reducing their environmental risk and increase their environmental efficiency. So the third point is to assist to become more environmentally friendly, which means it will make the companies who have been involved in this environmental supply chain management become more environmentally friendly. Here are the development of environmental supply chain management. So firstly, we have to engage with suppliers. So why do we need to work with suppliers? This is because we can identify the sources of pollution, we can implement the measures to prevent the pollution, and also measure our environmental performances. Next, apply environmental legal compliance. So by applying environmental legal compliance, there is one environmental principle said that the business should use precautionary approach to environmental challenges. And lastly, we need to make continuous improvement in our environmental management. Next, the sixth initiative is environmental performances reporting. It refers to systematic and holistic statements of environmental burden and environmental efforts in organizations' activities, such as environmental policies, objectives, program, and the outcomes, organizational structures, and system to the environmental activities, in accordance with general reporting principles of environmental reporting, and that is published and reported periodically to the general public. This is to provide useful information to decision-making of interested parties, and also it has become one of the requirements in a company to show what the company is doing in order to sustain and manage the environmental issue during the year. Next, the reason in using environmental performances reporting is to keep the transparency in line with sustainable development objectives, which many stakeholders want to integrate environmental and social information in their decision-making processes. By using the environmental performances reporting, there will be the creation of market opportunities environmental reporting linked to the business performances. Also, raises the profile of an organization and also gains recognition of potential customers. Next, the next subtopic will be continued by Ashwin.
Thank you, Dina. These are the benefits of current initiative if a company decided to implement it. The first one will be to improve resource efficiency. This to create more products with less input. For example, we can produce by product with excess materials. Next, to improve company's image. Nowadays, consumers are more attracted towards a company that shows that they care about the environment. For example, we have Adidas, who produce their shoes and football jerseys from recycled waste, which gain a lot of popularity among consumers. Lastly, to prevent pollution. Since some of the excess material will be reused and recycled instead of thrown away, hence it can minimize the waste produced by the company. Alright, next, we have challenges of current initiative. Yes, there are a lot of benefit if a company decided to implement the initiative, but there are also challenges that they need to face. The most obvious would be the high cost involvement. This is because if a company decided to become a go green company or environmental friendly company, they need to have a special machine. For example, if a company decided to use a recycled waste from a bottle or a plastic, they need to have this special machine to process it to be part of their end products. And this machine are very costly because it is the most sophisticated machine. And next we have lack of skilled manpower. This is because there aren't a lot of people that are experienced or skillful in this environmental industry, because it is a newly industry to begin with. And if a companies decided to become part of this initiative, to have this initiative, they need to compete with the competitors to appoint the manpower, because there are very limited manpower with experience and skill. And thank you, that's all from me in the current initiative. For the next subtopic will be continued by Hazira.
Thank you, Ashran. I will continue to present the last part in the seminar, which is application to industry. We have chosen Toshiba Group as our application. Toshiba Group has developed Environmental Vision 2050, a corporate vision that depicts flourishing lifestyle in harmony with the earth as an ideal situation for mankind in 2050. Based on our findings, Toshiba has applied 3 current initiatives in the organization. The first one is ISO 14001 certification. All Toshiba production facilities are certified according to the international standard of ISO. This voluntary commitment to maintaining an environmental management program guarantees that all Toshiba systems are produced in line with the strict ecological criteria. Toshiba also apply eco-efficiency in their organization. For the eco-efficiency, Toshiba takes a practical approach to the challenge of achieving greater sustainability. Toshiba stated that in order to improve their performance in relation to resource consumed, they have set clear eco-efficiency goals, which means they express the eco-efficiency in a fraction terms. Lastly, Toshiba consistently apply the 3R of sustainability, which is reduce, reuse, and recycle in their operations. For example, at Toshiba, they use advanced processing in order to keep certain materials separate for recycling purpose while eliminate the use of others. This allows the 100% recycling of Toshiba consumable supplies such as drum units and toner bottles. Other than that, Toshiba offers an energy manager application that controls and manages the energy settings on the entire fleet of printers as well as PC and server. In addition, it optimizes energy consumption during non-peak hours to take full advantage of energy savings. So that's all from my group. Thank you.